It's just a tad past noon here in Ventnor, New Jersey, and Bethesda, Maryland. And, well, this is news that you can use from YAA with your hosts, Zach and Ray. How are you today, handsome?
A little busy, Dad. Busy Friday going on, but super happy to be here with you. And I'm excited for someone to join us.
Me too.
Pops, I think someone's at the door. Can you let him in?
Yeah. Oh,
Kimberly,
my
has
God.
our acting
Oh,
gotten any better?
hey!
Like, seriously, has it gotten any better or has it gotten worse?
I would say it's the same. Maybe we should switch it up a little bit and yeah, come up with something new and different. It looks very cloudy where you are, Zach.
Yes, here at a place in the United States.
Yeah.
This is good, right there. There you go.
Is that apparently it looks like Tombstone Toyota, because it's a dying ground for something. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah, actually, we'll touch on Toyota. We've got some interesting headlines from the head of Toyota here in North America talking about his expectations for how long the car shortage lasts. But Kimberly, happy Friday to you. Thank you for being here with us. We're going to kick today off talking more about the FTC regulations that have been proposed. Now, we had discussed this in a video that dropped on the YAA channel earlier this week. And thank you to the community. About 500 more comments rolled in after that video went online. That was incredible to see. But Ms. Kimberly Kline,
Awesome.
you read an article that was in Automotive News. And let me pull it up on the screen. We're going to have a little discussion here about how the National Automobile Dealers Association is saying that the FTC's proposal on saving records is, quote, extreme because of the document retention. You read through this article. You've got some pretty pointed thoughts. Let's give you the forum here to share why you're, still supportive of the FTC's proposals and not necessarily buying into what NADA is selling.
I very rarely am into what NADA is selling. But anyway, yeah, so this article I found to be extremely interesting, especially from the vantage point of a Mr. Paul, I don't know how to say his last name. I'm sorry, Paul, Maitre, I'm not real sure. But
I think it's Maitre, yeah.
Thank you for that. And Paul is NADA Senior VP of Regulatory Affairs. So Paul has
that
some
sounds
things.
special, by the way.
It does sound extremely special. I'm sure it is too. So part of the FTC's proposition is record keeping. It revolves around record keeping. Now, Ray, you and I know that record keeping is a very important part of any dealership.
Absolutely.
And there are rules and regulations around record keeping, what we can and can't do, what we can throw away and what we can shred, and so on. Mm-hmm. But generally, for deal jackets of any dealership, deal jacket being the file folder that all the paperwork for a deal goes into, needs to be kept somewhere secure for 7 to 10 years. Now, each document in that deal file folder has its own regulations, which are state guided generally. For example, in the state of Texas, an odometer statement has to be kept for 5 years. That's something that's going to go into the deal folder. So let's just say 7 to 10 years, because that's where we need to keep them. The FTC is simply saying, hey, we want you to keep your records a little longer than a minimum of 24 months. There are very few documents, folks, where they are only kept for 24 months. Very few. Well, Paul, he's got problems. He's got problems with this, all right? So Paul uses words like extreme and dramatic expansion. So how are we going to do this? Now, I'm being a bit facetious, but if I was Paul's best friend, because this is what best friends are for, a best friend's going to pull you aside, Paul, and say, listen, man, do you know what you sound like right now? Let me tell you what you sound like. You're going to make me keep records? What? More records? That's extreme. That's dramatic expansion. Are you crazy? No, Paul, it already exists. But I think what something Paul is addressing here would be things like text messages between salespeople, and customers. And Ray knows all about this.
Well, salespeople generally are encouraged to give customers their personal cell phone numbers. And so salespeople love to text with customers. And there would be some privacy issues involved if you had to keep text messages. Any written messages between the dealership and the potential customer, or the customer, if a deal is consummated, would need to be kept on file somewhere. So there are issues concerning getting into salespeople's personal cell phones to get that information. You're shaking your head there, handsome.
Yeah, I disagree with you, Dad, because this is a good step for the industry. They should either have provisioned phones for salespeople, or they shouldn't be having information being. Remember some of the stories we've talked about? There was that dealer that a salesperson was like selling cars on the side and then ripping people. Like, you shouldn't be doing stuff on your personal property anyway, or if you are, at least have a provisioned experience, on the phone. That's my 2 cents.
The point I was about to make was that as opposed to allowing salespeople to utilize their personal phones as a device to correspond with customers, either dealerships should issue store phones that can only be used for that purpose, and dealerships would say, well, that would be an onerous extra expense to do that, or here's the cheapest solution whatsoever: not allow texting between salespeople and customers. Stay with email, because emails, there's a trail, okay? And you can create a paper trail. You can print out all those emails that a salesperson had with a customer and put them into the deal folder. So
Kimberly,
just
today,
do away with. What was that, handsome?
I was just gonna say, Kimberly, today may turn into a little bit of a family therapy session because I entirely disagree with my dad. So we'll have to see what direction this goes.
I love those kinds of days when I'm in the middle of it all. But now listen, Zach, it's a very simple solution. It's so simple. It's so easy. And here's poor Paul. He's like making his blood pressure go up over this. It is so simple. At the end of the day, or at the beginning of the day, every salesperson prints out those emails. No more text messaging. And here's why I say this. If you're a dealership that you don't have the money for a DDRP, which is a digital document retention platform, here's what you do. You take a file folder, $20 out of every doc fee, Mr. Dealership, $20 out of all your doc fees on every deal, and you go invest in some file folders, print your stuff out, stick it in the file. It's a very simple solution that already exists. Paul's having a hard time with this. And one more thing I got to say, Zach, I know you're chomping at the bit. I know you are.
I am.
But dealerships have proven to us over the past 2 years just how creative they can be monthly, weekly, and sometimes even daily. For example, 2 examples I'm going to give: taking products out of the finance office, shoving them on the front end, and forcing you, Mr. Customer, if you want this car, you're going to spend extra money on all these, regardless of that little disclosure box. And all kinds of creative. They've proven that to us, that they can be creative. Well, get yourself some file folders. Be creative. Figure it out. You have to abide by all the rules and regulations already that the FTC, which brings me to one more point, Zach. You know, I was on the fence with the FTC because I said from the very beginning, where have you been, FTC? These things already exist. Where have you been? Why are you coming out right now? Yes. So the dealerships already know how to do this. They've proven their creativity to us. All you got to do is get yourself some file folders. It's not that difficult.
So To be very clear, we all see eye to eye on one thing here, which is the NADA is grasping at straws. Essentially, they look at these rules and they're trying to find all the ways that they can poke holes in them to make sure that they don't go into effect, and more importantly, don't actually get enforced. That's who cares if they go into effect but don't actually get enforced. This grasping at straw effort is extreme document retention. It's really not. There's already a considerable amount of information that the dealership holds on to for more years than any customer probably realizes. And if you were to go look and dig into what financial institutions have to do, way more than what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
That being said, guys, I actually think that there are so many simpler solutions than even what both of you are describing, which would be leverage technology. Everything can go through and just be in the CRM. And quite frankly, I think that's a bit of the change that needs to happen in the industry is essentially they don't know. Kimberly, our phones, right? Like at YAA, did we send you a phone?
Oh, no, I don't have a phone. You know why? There's an app for that. There's an app
and
for
it's not like I mean maybe we do. Like I think I can go and Kimberly like see every phone call you got. I've never done it before, but that's why you have these.
Oh my God.
Exactly,
I gotta go, you guys. I have to go clear my phone out. I'll be back.
But my point being, these things already exist. It's just a matter of implementing them. And again, this is a grasping at straws type effort to say no. This is unreasonable. It's going to cost us quadrillions of dollars, if that's even a measurement of currency. But it's like it's being overly dramatic as a way to push back because I think the tea leaves, anyone can read them. I mean, Consumer Reports even just sent out. We had our community members send it into us, Pops and Kimberly. Consumer Reports yesterday, a share your dealer horror stories effort that they just sent out to all the Consumer Reports members. Like the writing's on the wall, isn't it, Dad?
You would think, and. What you're suggesting is probably built into most CRMs anyway, which are the dealership's customer management tools. But I'm sure the CRMs are salivating because they're thinking, okay, we can develop a little more software that we get to charge the dealer a little more money for to do all this on behalf of the dealer. And I saw in the comments from that most dealerships scan all the information in a deal folder anyway, and it's secured digitally and saved digitally, and so you can pull it back up anytime you need it. When you read the regulations, yes, there's some documentation that dealerships haven't kept in the past that are part of the deals, like any advertised pricing for that vehicle and how that might have changed over time has to be documented and stored in the deal folder.
I don't agree with training manuals. Like, why do you need to keep training? That's dumb to me. That's a waste. Why training manuals? And
a lot of dealerships, especially in the finance office, actually videotape every customer transaction. So if there's ever an issue, they can pull up the videotape, and if the customer says something wasn't offered to them, and there it is on video that it was offered and the customer turned it down, end of story. Or if the customer says, well, they said I can have this and I never got it, and the people say, well, no, we never said that. But all of a sudden, if they pull up the videotape in the finance office, they might discover, well, it was indeed promised to the customer. So there are ways to do this, and those videotapes are saved. Those videos, I'm sure they're
digitized.
They saved,
Dad? Where are they
I'm
saved?
sure they're digitized, and then they're sent up into the sky, into the clouds over Zach's head, and somehow all that stuff stays together, even as those clouds are moving across the country constantly.
They're all together. Yes,
they are.
Can I just bring up one more thing about this, Zach?
Yeah.
This paragraph really gets me. Okay. These record-keeping provisions are necessary to ensure that dealers make required disclosures under the rule, the FTC wrote. get this, they will also assist the commission in assessing dealers' compliance with the rule and help to ensure its effectiveness. That is a loaded statement, and I'll tell you why. What they're saying is we're actually going to enforce. We're going to enforce this because I have said, where you been, FTC? These were always around, but you haven't enforced them. So I think that Mr. Mitri, he says it feels like it's going into the territory of being supervisory. Well, I say to you, Mr. Mitri, you brought this on yourself. You brought this on yourself, okay? Had you not been so creative with doing what you've been doing with customers and forcing people into buying things that they don't have to buy according to a little box or a form or anything else, you brought this on yourself. So now the FTC is going to say, we're going to watch you a little closer now, and you're going to need to keep some better records.
And you know who this is really going to fall on most? It's not going to be the dealership. It's going to be the service providers, the companies that provide the technology to the dealerships. Like I've never talked about this on this show, but my before working on YAA with my dad, I was in the nonprofit space. We did fundraising for nonprofit organizations. Like that was my career for 5 years, and I was on the technology side of that. And one of the things I had to do there, because we worked with large hospital systems, Kimberly and Pops, was get HIPAA compliant.
There you go. That's big. I mean, that's really
and that was
big.
on us, the software provider, to do that. I mean, obviously, in those circumstances, of course, there's things that you need to be HIPAA compliant because you're a hospital anyway, but it was on us.
Yeah.
And so I'm reading some of the chat messages and thinking about this conversation. The burden is on Route One. The burden is on Dealertrack. The burden is on, whatever new. Remember, we were on the show very recently, guys. There was an ad on Automotive News for dealeraddendums.com. Okay, these software companies can do whatever the hell they want to do to make money. One of the ways they're going to be able to make money now is selling compliance software. Great, do it.
Well, it's CDK will do it. Reynolds and Reynolds will do it. They're the two largest CRM providers in the industry.
Dealertrack, they do it with OFAC.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's onerous, because there will be software that will handle it for them. There might be some additional expense involved with it because, CDK, Reynolds and all the others are going to charge them additional money because, well, they had to write code for new software. But the truth of the matter is, it's the cost of doing business. And in most states where doc fees are not capped, dealers will just add additional money to their doc fee
I don't
to
think
cover
that
this
they should.
addition.
Yes, I don't think that they should be allowed to do that, Ray. I don't think that they should.
I was going to say I agree with you.
California,
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
California, what? Their $85 doc fee capped. I can see where they might have to invest some money into this FTC and buy themselves some file folders. But everybody else, though, I don't think that they should be raising a penny to do this because of what they have done to the consumers and their creativity over the past 2 years. I'm angry about it. I'm angry about this, obviously. I'm angry that Paul is thinking it's extreme and dramatic. I could just hear him saying it, and I don't even know the guy. Are you kidding me, Paul? You're saying that keeping better records is extreme and dramatic and you can't do it? Come on. You've got to be kidding me.
Especially when the better record keeping could benefit the dealership because it'll make it easier to prove what was or wasn't supposed to be part of any one of these transactions.
Yes, Ray, because one of the things he's most upset about is the FTC wants them to keep records of consumer complaints.
Yes.
Oh my God, I can't do that. You mean you want me to get a box and keep consumer complaints in it? What? Now, think of what this is going to open. We don't want to look bad, so we don't want to keep consumer complaints. Oh my gosh, I just can't even get over this Paul dude. I
I'm
can't.
also reminded, and then let's switch gears. Let's talk Toyota for a second here. I'm reminded of the realization I had that there are brand reputation management companies out there as well that dealerships pay money to go try and scrub bad reviews offline. To try, like,
Yeah.
we're already spending money on all of this stuff that is essentially just like wouldn't have to exist if we actually had these rules in place. We treated people fairly. Like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, because we don't abide by, I don't know, the golden rule, treat others like you like to be treated. Because we don't abide by that, there are businesses that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars creating all sorts of stupid solutions that ultimately shouldn't even need to be there because we forgot the rules of kindergarten. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. Capitalism is a
Yes.
crazy drug. Honestly, it really is.
Well said, Zach.
Are you getting high?
Not on capitalism, man, and not in general. I actually don't do drugs. Let's switch gears. I was never into it. Never into it. Anyway, Toyota's Jack Hollis. Thanks. Yeah, me too. Toyota's Jack Hollis expects one more year of historically tight inventories. He is the head of sales for Toyota North America. Says dealership inventory levels won't be able to grow at all until perhaps the third quarter of 2023. Just let that sink in for a moment here, and are unlikely to ever return to their pre-pandemic levels. The thing that really caught me off guard when I looked at this article, where is it? I have never seen days supply of inventory be hours supply of inventory.
Hours. Yeah,
hours.
Measured in hours. Yes.
Wow.
We have a 36-hour supply of cars on hand. Okay, get in here.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, can I just say, I just saw at my mom's house the other day, how much money is Toyota putting into their marketing of brand recognition? Like, don't forget the brand. We can't get you the car, but don't forget. I think about the billions of dollars spent continuously in their advertising on television.
I'll be very curious to see if we have a Lexus December to remember. What do you think, Pops?
Well, we didn't last year, and I think they're pretty much setting the table for not having it again this year. Now, maybe you'll see that come back in November and December of 2023, because according to Mr. Hollis, they don't expect to see any significant increase in their ability to provide inventory to their dealers, both at Toyota and Lexus, until the third quarter of next year.
Wow. That's a long time.
That is a long time. So and which is their way of saying to customers, to the dealer body, this is going to last for quite some time. Figure out better ways digitally to sell cars and take reservations on incoming cars. And perhaps by the third quarter of next year, we'll see some increase in availability, but we will never produce cars and provide you with enough inventory to return to the levels that we saw pre-pandemic. They're hopeful that they can train customers to just get used to the idea of you can't go in and buy a car the day you want to buy a car. You can go in and you can reserve a car that day. And then a few months down the road, you'll actually get a phone call that says, hey, your car's in, time to come pick it up.
We have a great comment here from Sylvia. What's the average wait time on pre-ordered cars currently? Sylvia, if you check out the YAA channel, I think the video dropped on Monday. We have a video on that, and we're writing a guide back on the Join YAA website as well for some Toyota models, for example, hybrids and their plug-in PHEVs, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, over a year. You're waiting over a year. There's some in some areas, like in Canada, you're waiting well over a year, even for ICE versions of vehicles, the Sequoia, for example. So Toyota has drastically cut inventory levels. Their supply chains are still hampered, and they're being as honest and upfront, I think, as anyone throughout this. We're seeing American brands like Ford, for example, they have higher inventory than anyone else, but also really questionable quality. I mean, and that's not just coming from us as an opinion. Their own executives at their most recent quarterly earnings said the biggest flaw we have in our business model right now is we're spending too much money on warranty work. So it's an interesting dichotomy of the brands that are typically noted for their reliability, they have no inventory, a 36-hour, not day, 36-hour supply of on-hand inventory versus the American brands, the Fords, the General Motors products. Pops, I'm thinking of our story with Josh, right? With Stellantis, right? They're trying their hardest to just pump inventory out, but then the quality's suffering. So it will be interesting to see how consumer dynamics change. Are we willing to order? And honestly, I think if these OEMs move away from the traditional dealership model, which the FTC is pushing on, which the consumer has been pushing on, they'll probably find that the consumer is pretty happy about that. They're happy to order and not have to pay markups and things like that. In the meantime, go to markups.org, join YA as a member. Like, we're here to help you navigate all of that, but times are definitely changing.
But the problem that I see, if I may, is that there are any number of dealers out there, Toyota and others, that are demanding a market adjustment on incoming cars, on reservations, and that's the part where they're really being short-sighted. If you can get people to accept MSRP as a good selling price, when in the past nothing sold at MSRP, you know, just be happy to take MSRP on an ordered vehicle and move on with life.
I think you said that well too, Ray. You said train the people, and that's what's happening right now. People are being trained. We're being trained to, hey, this is what it looks like. This is what to expect. You're going to be ordering.
It's much more of the European model.
We've got to be careful, though, because we're also getting trained to markups. And I'm telling you guys, every day I probably rake up to 10, at least, Instagram direct messages that I reply back to. I send people links. I try and help them out. The number of people, because they watch my TikTok videos. And it's a different demographic over there. It's a totally different subset of people. The number of people that go from TikTok to Instagram, they message me. They say, man, I had no clue there were markups on cars right now. The reason I say that we also need to kind of train the dealer side is because we can't live in an environment where we're just like shooting fish in a barrel. Someone walks in, they have no clue that markups are a thing, and then they just pay for it. We got to really, so it's on both ends of the spectrum. Like, we need to get rid of the markups. We need to train consumers to not do that. And dealers should just stop doing it in general, because pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Like, there's a better way moving forward. The model as it stands, though, is evolving more rapidly than ever before, right before our eyes.
Yeah, we need to train the dealer to just be willing to accept MSRP if that's going to be the case. And we need to train the dealer to actually sell accessories to the customer, as opposed to forcing
them.
Yes, as opposed to forcing them. Exactly.
So wrong.
There's two types of training, for the customer and for the dealers. Dealers can do it differently, and they can do it better, and they could make it easier for everybody. But so many dealers choose not to. So many dealers see this in the short term as just a money grab, and they can't seem to help themselves. And so they try to justify it when there really is no good justification for it.
And then complain, whine, and cry over the FTC stepping in and saying, hey, we're going to watch you a little more closely now. What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Really? You gotta be kidding me.
To be fair, today's entire show could have been really, you gotta be kidding me. I want to share a story with you guys. This is terrible.
Oh, no. Okay.
Terrible. This is not one of those funny, really, you gotta be kidding me. This is one of those, really? You gotta be kidding me. Dealership mechanics charged with allegedly sabotaging customers' brakes. 2 mechanics allegedly tamped a customer's brakes on purpose. No one knows why. This is so scary. It all started when an unknown victim owner took their vehicle into number 1 Cochran Hyundai in Monroeville, Pennsylvania in early June. The owner was told that their vehicle hadn't passed the inspection because of a separation of the brake pads, but after taking the car to the dealer, the owner stated to authorities that something didn't feel right with their vehicle. That's when they went back to Cochran Hyundai for a second opinion. So our victim went back to the dealership, got the inspection passed again, and at that point, a second set of brake pads had another separation. The owner of the car quickly contacted the state's vehicle fraud unit, and after an inspection of the car, an official found the problem. Someone had placed a flathead screwdriver between the brake pads, causing the separation.
Wow.
Quickly, they figured out who the techs were. Both fessed up to what they did. This is, and they've been cited for criminal mischief and unlawful activities. The reason I shared this today, guys, I mean, Pops, our cousin Jed, he shared a story with me. He lives in Pennsylvania. He had to get his car state inspected every year in the state of Pennsylvania. He went to the dealership. It wouldn't pass state inspection because of XYZ issues. He goes to a local place down the street. It passes state inspection. There's so much concern when it comes to getting your vehicle repaired, even just maintenance. And then you hear stories like this. It just makes you scratch your head. It kind of reminds you there's some scary people out there, and you've got to protect yourself.
Are those 2 techs still employed? That would be the first question. Has the dealer said, "Ooh, this is not good. You can't work here anymore," and make it known to others that they committed a fraudulent act?
Here's the company's statement.
Okay.
First, number 1 Cochran as a company has not been cited for anything. Second, the facts expressed at the press conference regarding the 2 team members who were cited are not accurate, and the truth will come to light. Multiple service personnel inspected the brake pads and all agreed that they did not pass inspection. It is our assessment that no one at number 1 Cochran forcefully separated the pads or in any way damaged them. That is not how we conduct business. This is not who we are. And there would have been no benefit whatsoever to the technicians to operate that way. Kind of makes you scratch your head, though. Why was there a screwdriver?
But at the beginning, didn't
the techs admit it?
Didn't they say they admitted to this?
Oh, okay.
So Cochran is stepping forward and saying, "Oh no."
Okay, so what they admitted, they lied about admitting to it. I mean, come on. Oh my God!
Not a good look. This is pretty scary, isn't it?
No, it is. It's absolutely scary.
It is scary. And I think I saw that they were just going to get like a misdemeanor or something, like a slap on the wrist for it. So you could have killed somebody, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. And these are the types of things, again, the Gallup poll, trustworthiness of profession, is what I always bring up. People are just afraid of going to the car dealership. And there's good people at car dealerships. You guys lived your lives, the major livings at the car dealership. You're great people. You've got good hearts. Few rotten apples really, really, really ruin it for the bunch. And this is a perfect example. We talk so much about buying a car, guys. Sooner than later, we got to do more in the maintaining, repairing, because stuff like this, you hear about it, it's pretty scary stuff. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy, Zach. I've never
Tony
ever
wants
heard
to
of
know
anything like that.
If we can contact the dealership to see if the employees are still there. The journalist from Jalopnik tried calling them and was hung up on. So I'm going to just spare myself the 15 minutes and not do that. All right, it's Friday. Let's end the week with some wins. You guys got anything top of mind? What was a big win for you this week, Dad?
For me,
Yeah,
you know, the big win for me is that I made it another week, and I'm damn glad to be here and help as many people as I can.
Kimberly, big win for you this week?
You know what?
Very selfless,
I'm with
Pops,
Ray.
by the way.
I'm with Ray. I didn't have like anything. I'm going to say all the success stories on our community. I love reading through the success stories and seeing how people are doing. And that's huge. That's a daily win.
That's awesome. For me. Yeah, I love seeing those. And I commented on one the other day, and I saw my dad was in there commenting as well. Always appreciate seeing you in the forum, Dad.
Well,
yes.
I do that occasionally.
All right, my big win. I signed one of our first contracts with national chains so that we can offer discounts for members on repairs and maintenance. We actually have And this Kimberly Pops, we're going to be talking about this at the 2:00 meeting today. So here I'm sharing with the world as well. For existing YAA annual members, they're going to get like a little Christmas in the summer type present. They're going to start to have some discounts for maintenance and repairs. Yeah, I signed our first contract for that 2 days ago. Should be able to start offering that next week. And we're going to relaunch it formally later this year. But that's a huge win. And I'll show you guys what it's going to look like.
That's a big win. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a big win. It's a big win.
Very cool.
Very big win.
I'm so glad you treat me like a mushroom and just keep me in the dark with poop on top of me.
As a son should.
Apparently, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Zach. That's great. That's fantastic. I love to hear that. And I can't wait to hear more in our meeting this afternoon.
Yeah, it should be fun. All right, guys. Thank you. Happy Friday to you. Thank you to everyone here with us. Pops, we'll be back live tomorrow night on the YAA channel. 7 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Just stay tuned. Be sure to be subscribed.
Okay. Well, whatever time you tell me to be ready, I'll be ready. I promise.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Otherwise, we'll see everybody back here on Monday at noon with more news that you can use from YAA, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. Have a great weekend, everybody. And for those of you who want to participate tomorrow night, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.